Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to take a minute and talk to you about what I want to accomplish today. I'm making this for a YouTuber. Her husband's got the channel. Her and her family are on there with them. Everybody calls her Tosh. She's a great mom, and she does a lot for her husband and her children. She loves goats, farm animals, any kind of animals, and cars and trucks and all that. So I made her a couple of things. I made her a set of pot holders and dish towels. This is kind of a form print. I'm sorry, I've got laryngitis. I'm working. It's much better. For a few days this week, I couldn't even talk. Also, I did one with her goats. Now, where I got the idea from this is at Merrily We Quilt Along in Springfield, Missouri, I bought a kit for a pot holder. She has these kits available online, Merrily We Quilt Along in Springfield, Missouri. She's got 8 different kits, a few Christmas, a few Kansas City Chiefs, and then some other ones that are a little less nondescript. But with it, you were given a pattern. Now, the pattern that's given with it is a free pattern online. It's not, let me grab it. I'll put a link below. But it's from the Warm Company. And it's an oven mitt tutorial. So what I did was I printed it and then I made a template out of the pattern. Okay, just like I talked about making a template with making the pumpkins. I used the same kind of paper and I made a template. Now the only thing I don't like, to be honest, I've made this, as you can see, 3 times. I've changed several things about the pattern, and as I make it, I will tell you what I changed. This is one more thing I'm going to change, is right here. I'm not going to make this hard V. I'm going to go across in a circle, make it easier, and this is why. It makes it all bunchy. I don't like that. I've done it 3 times. It didn't get better no matter how much I reinforced it. Actually, it got worse the more I reinforced it. Also, I'll tell you right now, it has you sew along the edge of the pattern once you get it all quilted. And the first one I cut, as it said, I sewed along that edge, and then I sewed a 1/4 inch in from that edge. And this is the first mitt I made. It's kind of small. The next one, I sewed on that edge, and I sewed a 1/4 inch on the outside, and it's much nicer fit, much nicer feel. So that's how I'm going to do it. That's only really the 2 changes I'm going to make in the pattern. It's just from making it a few times I've discovered a couple things I don't like about it. Also, I'm going to show you how I put a little border of fabric on a towel. So what I'm going to make her today is, I just had this. I'm going to keep this one because, well, I don't have any more fabric to go with it to make towels. So I'm going to make her a different set for Christmas. All right. So anyway, that's what we're going to do today. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to make an oven mitt and a couple of towels. And hopefully my voice lasts through the whole thing. If it don't, well, I might have to cut in and out over a couple of days. So I'm going to change things around a little bit, and then we're going to get started. Thank y'all for joining me. So a couple of things I learned as I was talking about in working with the pattern is, first of all, if you have a piece of fabric that is about 19 to 20 inches, so about 19 by 19, you should have enough to do your top and your bottom. Now, the way the pattern says to do it, it actually tells you to take the fabric that you're going to see the outside of the oven mitt and put it face down. Next, it tells you to put your batting. Now you can see I pieced my batting together in the center. That's not gonna be a bother to me to do it that way. This is a good place to use up some of your scraps. Okay, we'll make sure all the layers are flat, okay? Next, it tells you to put your warm and natural down. I put the shinier side down. Right or wrong, I don't know, but that's what I did. And then it tells you to put your backing or the inside of the oven mitt right side up. Okay, so right side down, batting, insole bright, and backing or inside of the oven mitt. Now, as I said, if you buy the kit from Merrily We Quilt Along, it comes with all these layers. I already used those on mine, so this is my own stock here. The next thing you're going to need to do is draw your oven mitt on this piece. Now, guys, you're going to need to make your oven mitt a mirror image, okay? I don't know if this is going to show. I might have to grab something else. See if this is going to show. Oh, it's going to show. Okay. You want to draw it with something you're going to be able to see. As I said, when I come over here, I'm going to go curve. I am not going to go pointy there in that corner again because I didn't like it. Okay, and now I'm going to flip it over so it will be the mirror image. And I'm going to draw it again. They do not have to be drawn side by side. One can be up, one can be down. Now remember, this is a heat erasable marker that I'm using. So from this point on, I can't put it under any heat until I get through with what I need to do, or I'll have to draw it again. Okay, I'm gonna grab a couple big pins to hold it together. Oops, there we go. Now we're gonna do a little bit of quilting on these. Hold them together. You don't have to put a lot of pins. Okay, maybe I'll put one right in the middle. Okay, so we're gonna mark the back with quilting lines. Now, one little thing I did learn, I'm gonna grab a different color disappearing pin. The reason is, when you're quilting, you don't get mixed up on which line is which. So, what I did was I just drew one line going what I consider straight up and down. Let's see if I can see that. Not really. Let me get it. Let's see if the orange will show up. Not really. All right. Let me see if I got something darker over here. I'm sorry about that. It's kind of showing up now. I got a black one. It's a fine tip. We'll see how this goes. Okay, that's better. Now, if you have a walking foot with one of those little bars on it, you can just draw the one line. Because we're going to sew the one line, then we're going to use this line to measure off everything else. But if not, you need to draw all your lines. I'm spacing mine and probably about 1.5 inches apart. For the next one, I'm going to lay my 45-degree angle on that line I just drew. And then I'm going to draw a line. That's a 45-degree angle to that line. Okay. And that is going to be my line to go in the other direction. Again, I'm only going to draw the one line because I'm going to use my walking foot's bar to mark the rest off. Okay. Now that's all we need to draw, and we'll be ready to go to the sewing machine and quilt this before we cut it out, okay? Now guys, I buy towels that are usable. I don't buy the most expensive towel out there. I just buy a towel that I feel someone can actually wash and use. No, I don't pre-wash them. And I don't pre-wash my fabric. What I do is I measure my towel. This one is 15 3/4. So what I did was I cut my fabric that I'm going to put on here at 18 by 7. That's going to give me a little overhang on each side and a little bit to the top and bottom. Okay? Let me see if I can get my ironing board over here so I can show you. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do with the towel is I'm going to go to the bottom and I'm going to iron up about 3/4 of an inch to an inch all along the bottom, as straight as I can get it. Okay. Then I'm going to take a towel. I'll make sure I got the right side up. This is the hem, so this is the wrong side down. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to pin it. I'll move this iron so it don't hit my hand. I don't want any burns. Okay. Let me just give that a little press right there. Gotta press that seam out. All right. Now, let me grab my little pins. Scooch this up, make sure y'all can see it. I'm just gonna kind of finger it on the side, make sure that it got about the same amount on each side. And I'm gonna start pinning this along the bottom edge. I'm gonna kind of pin to the corner. But to be honest, you don't gotta go all the way to the corner because we can go back and work on them. Okay. And then I'm gonna take it out to the side. Okay. Get to the edge. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull it up a little bit. Let's see here. Now, I want this to be, around at least 5 inches. But as big as this one is, we could probably go about 5 1/4. We could probably even do 5 1/2. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna choose 5 1/2, which is about right there. And I'm just gonna do a soft touch, okay? And I'm gonna come along here. And I'm gonna do the adjustments that I need to do to get it to 5 1/2. And then I'm just gonna put a pin in it. Okay? towel, guys, this is a pretty towel, but, you know, don't beat yourself up on something. If it's 1/8 of an inch, no, 1/16 of an inch, nobody's gonna tell. I'm just gonna work my way down to the end. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing on this opposite end. About 5 1/2. Okay. The lady I'm making this for, she likes trucks. Okay. All right. Now that's what I do there. I'm just gonna give it just a little touch right along that edge. These pins are safe for the heat. Now, I'm gonna turn this over. Ouch. Okay, that's not quite dry there. Let me grab the other thing I need. I'm sorry. Apparently I just don't have my brain together. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take these corners, and I'm gonna give them a little finger press there, and I'm gonna put a little bit of glue stick on them. Then you can use a pen or whatever you got. You can press yours in. I'm just doing a little bit of embroidery. I kind of got spoiled using a glue stick on a lot of things. I'm gonna do that, okay? Then we're gonna flip it back over. And all we're gonna do, we're gonna take these 2 end pins out. We're gonna turn this under right there. Make sure it's a nice, pretty sharp corner. That's why I 45'd it. Put this pin back in here. We're gonna put a pin in this corner. Ouch. Okay. I'm gonna re-put a pin down here. Look, guys, as you're sewing it, you may have to pull on that towel a little here or a little there to make it all just so. Put a couple pins across this end. And let's see if I've repinned it to the ironing board. Nope. Okay, so now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Gonna take it, I'm gonna fold it in and give it a little finger press. Put a little glue stick right there. Would help if I roll my glue stick up. Okay. Now you want it even with the towel, but not under the towel, or you won't get your 45, okay? All right. Okay, now let's flip it back on the other side. Take out these 2 pins. We're gonna flip it under. Now this is just the way I do it. I'm sure there are a lot more professional ways to do this, but this is what works for me. I'm happy with it. Like I said, I don't worry about it. I use my towels. They're not just for putting on the show. If you was gonna not maybe use your towels, well, you might want to do them a little more fancy. Okay? And that's it, guys. I'm gonna take it to the sewing machine. And I'm gonna top stitch about 1/8 of an inch all the way around, and that's it. So I'm gonna get the other towel ready. And I'll meet y'all at the sewing machine and we'll get busy sewing, okay? I'm gonna start with the towel. Now, I start towels on the edge. I'm gonna move my needle over. I'm gonna use my walking foot. I just pick me a spot where I want to just run it. there's a bar, an open bar in there. I'm going to put my towel to the inside of that open bar. And that's where I'm going to use for my guideline. And look guys, the reason I stored on the corner, on the edge, side, is because usually when you put a towel out, you fold it, this edge is in. So where you start and stop really won't show that much. So that's why I'm doing that. All right, guys, that's it. She's all finished. We'll look at it all finished in a minute. I'm gonna get set up for the cross hatching on the pot mitt first, and then we'll be right back. Okay, guys, so the next thing I'm gonna do is we are going to quilt the oven mitt. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come along here on this line that I drew. It's going straight up and down. I am going to increase my stitch length to, oops, went the wrong way, to 3.0. And I am going to sew straight down this line, or as straight as I can go. Now, in the pattern, it calls for the two oven mitts to be done separately. I found it was faster and more efficient just to do it as one big piece of fabric and then cut it out. So that's how we're doing it. So that's everything in one direction. Let me just move this around here. So you can see that's everything going in one direction. So now I'm gonna go on this line and might work myself across and then back to make like a diamond crosshatch pattern so that it holds together well. If you're happy with just one line, that's fine. If you want to go straight across, that's fine. Whatever you want to do, you want to do a 45, a 60, whatever it is. You go ahead and do it the way you want. I'm just going to show you this one, okay? All right, so to get started, we're gonna still do the 1.5 inches. So I'm gonna start out just sewing this one line here across the whole thing. Sorry, hold on a second, let me get it in place. Okay, so I'm gonna start out just sewing this one line on the diagonal. I'm really just concerned with it being on the outside of my mitt lines. I don't need it any further than that. Okay, guys. Okay, so basically what we did was we made a quilted piece of fabric. Okay, so the next step will be to take it back over. We'll cut out the two oven mitts and then we'll come back and put them together. It's really easy. All Alright guys, so I don't know if you can actually see the lines I drew of the actual two sides of the mitt. I'm going to cut them apart from one another first. Okay. I know what I forgot to do. Well, it's best I cut them apart anyway. We need to go back to the sewing machine and we need to sew along the edge of the pot holder. Okay guys, what I forgot to do earlier was to sew along the edge of the oven mitt pattern. Sorry. That we drew. Once I did that, I cut approximately 1/4 inch around on the outside of the line that we had drawn and sewed. Then I put the two mitts right sides together, kind of lined them up, trimmed anywhere that needed to be trimmed so that they matched pretty quick, close together, especially along the bottom. Now the next thing is we need to cover this bottom edge with a piece of binding. Now to do that, the pattern says to cut a 2-inch binding strip, 2 inch by 10 inch. I cut 2.5 by 11 inch binding strips. The first one I cut at 10, and it is a very narrow binding. The second one, I cut at 2.5, and I think it looks a little better. But that's just personal preference. You want to cut yours at 2, do what the pattern says. The next thing the pattern said to do was to sew it as we would a quilt to the front, roll it over, and hand sew it to the inside. It's not what I did. I sewed it as if I were going to sew it on a quilt, but I sewed it from the wrong side. Once I did that, I'm able to roll it over to the front and just stitch it down with my sewing machine. It saves a lot of time. So that is what we're going to do right now. I'm going to readjust the camera so you can see it, and we're going to get that sewn. Okay, so we're just going to take it along here. Get a little extra edge to begin with. I'm just sewing with an approximate 1/4 inch seam allowance. No more or less, really. Just right in that general vicinity. If it's a little more, fine. If it's a little less, that's fine too. We just take our time. See, by doing that, we'll be able to just roll it to the front and stitch it down with a nice little seam allowance. So let's just go ahead and do that. Okay, that's that. I'm going to set that aside. And we're going to do the same thing to the other one. Okay, so now I'm going to trim these edges even. Then our next step is to sew it together. So I'm just going to match it up gonna do some pinning. Come down here. And just kind of work myself around with some pins. Hold it generally in place. And that's it. We're just going to make a 1/4 inch seam all the way around the entire oven mitt. We will come back. We will do some trimming on the inside. If you got a walking foot, you're going to want to use it. Because I got to tell you, it's pretty thick. I didn't start right on the edge. Ouch. I started in a few stitches. And then I hit reverse, forward, reverse, and then I told it to go. Okay, guys. The next step is to kind of do some trimming. You just want to be careful that you're not cutting anything that's important. As you're turning it, if you run into any problems, you might just want to open it back up and retrim it. All right. Now we got to turn it. Turning it's a little tough. I didn't really want to put a lot of pressure on anything, so I kind of started it out like this. And just kind of worked it down as best I could. And I started pushing from the inside out. This one's gone so much easier than the other ones. I don't know why. But yay. Maybe I trimmed it a little closer. Let's get the thumb pushed out. Looks like we might have a couple little threads to trim here and there. But overall, I think it came out really pretty. There we go. Okay. It's quite pretty, huh? There we go. And we'll just kind of run our thumb along that seam, inside and out. And there we go. So let's set this up here where y'all can see it. Well, there we go, guys. So here's a little look at the towels and oven mitts. I just want to say thank you all for joining me today. Please, if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Also, I'm sorry about the voice. I hope it'll be better next week. And remember, guys, to always be yourself.